In the heart of Obodo, a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and a windy river, life moved at a slow, predictable pace. The villagers lived by the rhythms of nature, playing in the rainy season, harvesting under the sun's watchful gaze, and gathering in the moonlight to share stories passed down through generations. It was a place where everyone knew each other, where a stranger's arrival was rare and always source of curiosity. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, a lone traveler appeared on the dirt path leading into Obodo. He was tall with a lean frame wrapped in a dusty brown robe that fluttered slightly as he moved. His sandals were worn from long travel, and in his hand he clutched a wooden staff that clicked against the earth with every step. The villagers paused their activities, their eyes drawn to the unfamiliar figure. Mothers pulled their children closer, while the men exchanged wary glances. Strangers were always met with caution, for they could bring either fortune or misfortune. Bangoko, the village head, an elderly man with sharp eyes despite his years, stepped forward. "Greetings, traveler," he said, his voice steady. "What brings you to Obodo?" The man inclined his head. "I am Obiora," he said, "a trader and storyteller. I seek only rest and perhaps a meal before I continue my journey." Hospitality was sacred in Obodo, so Bangoko nodded. "You are welcome," he said, though his gaze held a flicker of doubt. That night, Obiora was given a place by the communal fire, where he shared tales of distant lands. He spoke of cities where the streets were lined with red clay, where merchants sold fabrics so fine they felt like water, and where warriors carried swords that gleamed like the sun. The villagers listened in awe, their minds wandering beyond the familiar hills of Obodo. Children sat cross-legged with eyes wide, and even the elders nodded along, entrenched. Then, just as the fire crackled and settled into embers, Obiora's voice dropped low. "But not all is well in the lands I have seen," he said. "There is trouble on the horizon." The villagers leaned in. "In many places, the gods are angry, crops are failing, rivers are drying, and sickness spreads like wildfire." He paused, glancing around. "There are whispers that these misfortunes follow certain villages. I do not know how true it is, but they say once a place is marked, no one escapes." A murmur rippled through the crowd. The mention of angry gods sent chills down spine. In Obodo, tradition was sacred. Rituals were performed diligently, and elders consulted the spirit before making important decisions. If misfortune was coming, they needed to act. By morning, the men of the village gathered beneath the great baobab tree, their voices hushed yet urgent. "We must not take his words lightly," one man said. "The gods must be appeased." "But he could be lying," another countered. "We have always been a blessed village." Bangoko raised a hand for silence. His face was unreadable. "We will consult the Dibia," he said, referring to the village seer. "If the spirit confirms this, we will act." The Dibia, an old woman with clouded eyes but a mind sharp as a blade, listened carefully to their concerns. Then she cast her sacred stone to point the ground. The villagers held their breath as she studied the pattern they formed. After a long moment, she spoke. I see shadows over Obodo. Whether misfortune is near, I cannot say. But the sacrifice, her voice turned solemn, may bring balance. Tension crackled in the air like dry leaves before a storm. If the seer confirmed it, then it must be true. But who or what will be sacrificed? Whispers spread. Some suggested a great feast, offering the best of their harvest to the gods. Others spoke of livestock, perhaps the village's healthiest bull. But Obiora, standing quietly at the edge of the gathering, shook his head. The sacrifice is needed, a greater one, a life. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Eyes darted toward the seer, but she remained silent, as if waiting to see where fate would lead them. Then slowly, all eyes turned toward a small hut at the edge of the village. Inside that hut lived Adaeze, a young woman who had always been different. She did not laugh as loudly as the others, nor did she gossip at the market. She spent her days tending to her ailing father, keeping to herself. Some villagers had long whispered that she was touched by his spirit. Was this why misfortune loomed? Was she the price the brother had to pay? Rangoko's voice was heavy when he spoke. If a life must be given, it must be chosen with wisdom. Obiora, watching from the shadows, merely smiled. That night, Adaeze was taken from her home. The village elder spoke of duty and protection, of how her sacrifice would save them all. She did not resist, nor did she cry. She only looked at Obiora once, and in that moment, realization flashed across her face. He was not a traveler, he was a trickster. But it was too late. The river carried her body away, and the village breathed a sigh of relief. For a time, life returned to normal. The crops grew, the river flowed, and laughter turned to the market. But then, one evening, a new traveler arrived. He was weary, with a face hardened by the sun, and eyes that had seen too much. "Beware," he told them. "A man travels from village to village speaking of curses and sacrifices, but he brings only fear and he leaves destruction in his wake." The villagers felt their stomachs turn. Obiora was gone, but his lies had already rooted itself deep in Obodo's soil, and Adaeze, her name became a whisper, a ghost in the wind, a lesson no one will ever forget. Not every visitor brings good news.